Artem. We're back.
Hello, hello, Gary. Yeah, hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. We are live. And I have a crazy hot spot on my face from this light. That's all right.
Mm.
But the sun came up today. That's the most important thing. How's everybody doing? I'm trying to find the comments. I don't know. I don't know. I never know how to turn the comments on Artem. We've been doing this how many weeks now? It'll turn
Uh,
themselves on.
from January, I guess.
Only six
Mm.
months. It's like, learning curve is powerful, as my uncle used to say. So, Artem, um, this is our 10th episode, which is amazing. Uh,
Yeah,
Thank you for showing up every week. I know it's tough, it's late where you are. So, that's really awesome. Um, so, we wanted to today take a look. I was calling it like our flashback episode. Not that we're going to go through all the
yeah.
topics, but talk about our approach to um,
To problem
solving,
solving.
yeah, the problem solving, exactly. So one of the things we had talked about is we want to create a new way to look at the dog and human relationship. And we want to reverse engineer the miscommunications that people are having with their dogs and start with what the problem is and how it came about, not just
Yeah.
let's go in and how to solve it. Because
Hmm.
we'll talk about why we do this. And I know it's counterintuitive from a lot of the way trainers work. They'll go in and they hear the clients talk, and then I feel like a lot of them have a very similar treatment plan all the time. Which is dog training, sitting, that kind of thing. And we look at more of the environmental piece of it, and that's what I think.
Yeah, and daily routine, like
Hmm.
daily routine, not uh, only those pieces when you doing something specific with your dog, or not only those moments when you seeing behavior that you don't want to see on your dog. Like, what do you do with your dog in daily basis before something happening
Yeah, and that's where the
that
last
you
thing.
want to solve?
Yeah, and that's where the lasting results to me come. Really understanding how you got into this situation. So we talked about this
Yeah,
from the beginning, Artem, is we didn't want to do a typical advice show. Well, my
yeah,
dog
like do
jumped.
this, do that. Yeah,
Yeah, my dog jumps. My dog bolts out the door. The walks are unenjoyable. They steal stuff. Door charging when the boogeyman's out there. All of those things. From my perspective, I don't feel like, and maybe I'm just terrible, I don't feel like I can give honest advice if I don't know all of the pieces.
yeah,
And it's the more I've been doing it, I know you know this, you feel the same way. It's easy to stop the behavior, but to have it last is the tricky part.
yeah.
How to get a dog to stop jumping is not hard. But if you really want it to
At all.
last, yeah, if you really want it to last, we have to figure out why does your dog jump in the first.
Again. Yeah, yeah. Our question should be not how to stop, but why that dog is jumping.
Mm-hmm.
So if we will figure out why that dog is jumping, so it's almost like actually the problem is almost done because we know why,
Yeah,
because we know root reason,
yeah. And a lot of times you don't even have to do anything. Or if you do,
or stop doing things.
yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have to do anything. It's more about stopping doing things. And if you do have to do something, it's not often. It shouldn't be a lot. So I'll ask you this question: do you find that most problems are actually
do
that?
you hear me clearly? Because
I do.
Gary, do you
Yeah.
hear me clearly? Because I'm having that message that connection is not good.
No, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah. Um, so I'll just repeat that again. Do you find most problems
Hmm.
for owners are actually that moment that they're suffering from them, or is it things that
No,
exact? Okay,
no, no.
so
Yeah, and it's actually uh, like with us, like having too much weight is not about that burger that I'm eating right now.
mhm.
It's about how I'm eating in general, how many physical activities I have or maybe do not have. It's like about the health. If I'm having a problem, it's not about I'm feeling pain, so it means that it appears just now. It can be problem of many years before, which been like illness can be a problem, which uh, like calculation of all experience, everything that happened before you started feel that pain. So same with dogs.
Mhm. Do you think the people that you work with, do they prioritize a healthy environment, or
No, at all.
or they just want
At all, because
solutions?
most of them not even thinking about that. Most of people, and we just talked about it before we started, they focused to on do something to the dog to stop dog doing this or to start dog doing something. And I guess in general, a lot of people have that idea because how society, how to say it in English, like because of ideas that society have for dogs, like dog training. Dog training is mostly about doing something to the dog. It's not good or bad. I'm not talking in those terms. It's just how that thinking appears in owner's head. This is what I'm trying to explain. So most people they taking dogs, something started happening that they don't want to, and then okay, so I should train my dog. But that especially if it is a puppy and it was no problems for some period of time, and then problems appeared. It's not. It's 100% that it's not because you didn't train your dog. It's because something happened between you and your dog in surrounding in which dog lives. Something happened before daily happening.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
Oh
said?
no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Like and that's the thing. Like we were talking about before we started. That's the thing we're trying to get people to change. I mean, for me, when you
Yes.
say dog training, that means I'm forcing my dog to understand my thinking, instead of me looking at my animal and saying, "Why are you having those feelings?" Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like my friend Roberta said. We talked about it last week. Animals have the ability to make choices. They might not be making the choice you want, but it doesn't mean that it's not valuable to them. I mean, there's something that
Yeah.
for some reason, they're making that choice. And that's what I'm passionate about, is for us setting up the proper environment for those things to change, not just getting the behavior to stop. Because as we all know, I mean, anybody that's gone through this, they stop some type of habit, whatever it is. That stress will come out somewhere else. So somebody stops smoking, they stop drinking, a lot of times they gain weight. There's something that when we don't deal with the root
I
cause.
stopped smoking last summer, and I have more weight now.
Yeah, yeah,
10 kilo plus.
yeah, and it's a lot of people like that. I mean, and that's what we're trying to do is try to talk more about that environment and figuring out um, where these and and you and I mean, we always kind of say these things like we don't want to call them problems. We don't want to. I mean, and I always try to like tap dance and get real specific about, or try to get specific about the words, but um, the behaviors that when we're not on the same page, my dog's doing something I don't like, and from the dog side, you're probably doing something your dog doesn't like, and that's why they're doing their behavior. So definitely for me, prioritizing a healthy environment is a great start to at least getting your dog back to neutral. Like you said, the puppy. The puppy didn't come with a lot of these problems. Puppies didn't come with leash aggression. Right?
Yeah,
It's not like, oh, we're breeding for leash aggression, right? I mean, unless you get a German Shepherd, that's they are bred for frustration, because it's the sport they're bred for is barking and frustration, and helps with training. But I mean, I don't know a lot of dogs that are, I can't think of any. I'm just trying to not be that all in, but I guess I don't know anybody that's breeding for leash aggression. Um, do you think it's fair as owners to expect your dog to change when you haven't?
no, and it's not fair to anybody. Like in relationships with humans, like you need to change. So if we have relationships, it's always about two of us,
Mm-hmm.
and with other humans we can have something equal, but there is no equality here. Like dogs, I'm speaking about not hierarchy right now. I'm speaking about they depend on us every second.
Mm-hmm.
So how what kind of experience they will have about the world depends on us mostly.
Yeah.
So, and of course, that it's not fair to expect dog to change and not changing yourself.
Yeah. It's one of like my pet peeves is when people are just like we had talked about, in the previous episodes, like toys and things, when somebody
Uh-huh.
wants to use an electric collar to teach their dog to recall when they're the ones that keep throwing a ball away from them. So you
Yes,
want me
yes.
to, so you want me to shock your dog because you're the one that keeps teaching them to run away from you. And like that to me isn't fair. So when we're aware of,
And no matter tool it will be.
absolutely, it doesn't matter. Yeah, long line.
Like I can, on some dogs, I can open umbrella and they don't want pull as hell.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's not about opening umbrella 1 million times on your dog. Do you doing things that do you still doing things that making that dog so neurotic or not? This is where biggest part lying on.
yeah, yeah. It's, it's just it's a shame, That's but again, I mean that's why we're doing the shows, because it's something we're both
Yeah.
passionate about. So I really wish people would understand that most dogs are suffering from a human problem, and we have to be the ones. We're the ones representing the problem, so we have to be very careful how we help solve the problem. Um, from that,
And yeah,
no,
yeah.
good.
Go. That thing that we discussed a few days ago. Like if you still thinking in a way what to do with the dog or what I should do when dog doing that. If you're still thinking as an owner in those terms, that's uh, saying that you not how to say don't have information, the most important information about why you have that. Like when you will figure out why you have that, what to do will be way more easier. So if you're still thinking in terms of what to, and I've been there, like what to do, and that what to do can be countless. But when I found reasons why that happening, uh, it, it this is when problems really start disappear because
Mm-hmm.
I know why. So then what to do? Sometimes it's even like obvious. You don't need anything. You
Yeah.
just seen what you need to do. Especially that white dog that I have right now with me. She's you know about her.
Mm-hmm.
So like a few days ago I walked with her off leash, and she she been sinking. Was very hard for her because she hyperstimulated by everything, especially sounds. And before I had e-collar on her, and she been running as hell away from me, and that e-collar didn't help. Nothing didn't help. Recalls, nothing. So she been in somewhere there, not with me. And 2 days ago, she been mentally with me when she been off leash.
Beautiful.
So it's not about what to do. It's about and I actually will tell because she so fast on leash, and she when she been outside with the owner, she always been on leash. And that year that she's with us, she spent most of her time off leash. So she learned how to balance herself.
Yeah.
And she learned how to listen to me and how to be attentive to me when she's off leash.
Yeah.
So then I dropped that leash when we've been outside in park, and she been sinking.
Yeah.
But not because not because what I did in that exact moment, but actually giving her opportunity to be off leash a lot helped her so much.
Yeah.
So it's been not about action that I did in a moment. It was about understanding what's happening with her. Being on leash for her means frustration, stress. That dog needed to be off leash a lot of time.
Yeah.
Meant to spend a lot of time off leash. So I'm done.
Yeah. And I just had met with someone that follows us, a big supporter of our show, and in Virginia, a woman named Michelle. And we spent a couple hours together in Virginia. She wanted to get together, and I was driving through from North Carolina to see my family in New Jersey. And she's like, "Can we stop and have lunch or whatever?" So we met in the park for a couple hours and just talked. And I can't remember. I mean, it was at least like 3 or 4 times where her head was just like, holy, like, oh my God, it's so easy. Like, it is really easy when you really think about the bigger picture and not just like, how do I stop this problem? How do I stop this problem? She was just like, oh my God, yes, like that's so simple, because it is really simple. It's just not easy because we have so much other information out there that's teaching us to just start doing things instead of looking at the bigger picture of, like we were saying with this dog, it's the day in and day out, minute by minute, not just that moment that you brought out
Yeah.
food and started practicing recall. What are you going to say?
Just go. I forgot what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. My friend Peter's going to be so happy how much you're talking today. He keeps telling me, get Artem talking more. He messaged me after the last episode. He's in Canada.
Is that Peter Ivani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's so funny.
Hi, Peter.
See, he talks. So and when we're trying to help solve, once we understand what's happening, like you had said this, I think somebody had asked the question about, I think it was a few episodes ago, about like your go-to strategy for solving behavior problems, right?
Yeah.
And I love the way you put it. And you said that I want a the dog I should have a clear expectation of what I want. And I think that was a great way to put it. So I always, when you go into these clients' homes like I am, do you feel like the things they're doing every day is moving them in the direction they need to go?
No.
No.
Opposite direction.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. And if you first time watching us, all of those things we discussed in nine previous episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I like what I was kind of thinking about while I was, after you said that, it was kind of like the military. They spend so much time practicing certain skill sets and situations and possible outcomes to different situations, and there is an expectation. The person that's the hierarchy sets up everybody for success. um, Showed them how to use their weapons, teaches them how to stand, teaches them the language that they're going to be using, hand signals, like all of these different things. And I just I really want to just get that into people's heads, how important it is for us to be that. I mean, that word's thrown around a lot, leader, whatever, but I think it's just an educator of, teaching the way the student learns. We have to think like a dog, but we can also teach them the way we teach them the skills that we need. And that's what was interesting when I was with Michelle. It's like, it just was like, oh man, yeah, that would make so much sense to a dog. And I mean, I felt that way when I started, like I know you did too. When we started watching Brandon stuff, you're just like, oh,
Yes.
why was I working so hard? Like trying to,
By teaching that dog holding a place, for example, yeah.
or whatever. I just like, yeah, that's why for months the problem didn't go away. Sometimes it gets worse. Um, yeah, I mean, because to me, like leadership isn't a title. It's action and example. It's the things we're
Mm-hmm.
doing. We can't expect,
Mm-hmm.
if we fly off the deep end, um, we can't expect our dogs to be this stoic being when their example is to get riled up at somebody. It's like our friend Kimberly, when that woman, she was walking her dog with a muzzle on, and the woman started like reaming into her. Like, I don't, do you know that term? Like, I'll just say it a different way. Like, Kimberly had a muzzle on Gemma, and the woman started like yelling at her and saying all of those things. And Kimberly wanted to explode at the woman, but she's like, well, "What am I teaching my dog? Right? I'm teaching my dog that same thing to just wow, like." So she caught herself in that moment. I thought that was real. That was a real a real
Yeah.
leader setting an example and teaching a skill set. Anything to add? You look comfortable, man. Look at you. Um,
um,
so Artem, I like this. To get something different, you have to do something different.
mm-hmm.
You have any
Yeah,
suggestions where
absolutely.
to start?
Go watch previous episodes
Yeah, that's kind of
and
what.
rewatch them.
Yeah, because that's kind of.
Go to the Brandon's channel and
Yeah,
watch everything that you can find the law like universe of information
yeah.
actually.
What I think one of the things I'm going to say this differently. I just caught myself. One of the things I would love for people to just become more aware of is where they're putting on blinders because of things that they like. So a lot of times people aren't even looking or giving the possibility of something in their relationship with their dog because they need it so bad.
Yes.
Like we were talking about the toys, the personal space, all of the things that we talked about in the previous episodes. You and I, who are completely unbiased, trying to do the best thing we can, are going into people's homes, and we just, after a while, you can't ignore the dots that are connecting. You go into 10 people's
Yeah.
homes, they're all doing the same thing and they all get the same problem. And I think that's a big piece of this responsibility, is being able to shelf the fact that I like doing this, yet it could be my problem. And I think that's a huge place for people to start, is to really take the blinders off and give everything, to just observe everything that they're doing, and the possibility of something that, even if it's love, even if it's best intentions, even if it's great marketing from PetSmart or other trainers, that to keep an open mind that something there could possibly be a problem. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And like when I talk with people, some things they are so obvious, they just actually know those things, but they don't want to see them because the agenda towards the dog is a whole different thing. Like, for example, if if owner communicating with the dog in a classic way with a lot of affection and silly things, doing a lot of silly things with the dog, and then having that affectionate, weak, silly relationships that owner want to control aggressive behavior on walls. So it's obvious who you are for your dog. Like, if you have these relationships, how you expect your dog believe in you when that problem happening on walks, when your dog plunging at somebody, because you uh, always showing about yourself few things like behave silly with me, like I am reason why you're so excited, uh, don't take me serious, but then listen to me. So it's obvious.
Yeah.
Things like that, they're so obvious.
And that's where, for me, like what I say to people is, I've never seen a dog die from not playing with a toy. I've never seen a
Yeah,
dog die from lack of affection. I've never seen a dog die because you're more accountable for your emotions. But
let's let's call it not affection but touch, physical
physical
touch,
touch.
because affection, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of meanings.
yeah. So the physical touch, the talking to your dog, all of those things. I've never met a dog that just laid down and died because they weren't getting touched enough. Um,
Hmm.
but if we're willing, if we're just willing to try, what do we lose? Your dog's not going to hate you. Your dog's not going to. I mean, it's it, the possibilities. The upside is so big, and that's what I think I want people to understand. Like these, these episodes that we make, we're trying to get people to to see a different way, because it's the way of what dogs need, and not just what we need. And um, yeah, I just think it's so powerful and so
Yeah,
respectful to them.
as in one episode, I said, like, so what kind of friendship we have if we only fulfill our own needs,
Yeah,
but we call them friends, best man's friend, yeah,
yeah, friend. Yeah, man's best friend. Yeah,
man's best friend
but
is.
are we a dog's best friend? That's what I had seen that. I actually wrote that down for an Instagram post later. They're man's best friend, but are we our dog's best friend? Are we there?
Yeah,
Are we listening to them when they need us? Right? Are we loving them the way they want to be loved, which is the way they want to be loved, not what we need? Because, like we said, when we pull them out of the shelter, we have an expectation. They don't. They
yeah,
they just want to be a dog. What's up?
yeah. Yeah, again, it's really simple, just thinking, and it's all about understanding. Like, if we don't have understanding in relationships, those relations will be uh, disaster, no matter with whom we are in relationships. With a dog, if we do not understand um, what they really need in that relationships, if we will be in relationships with the horse and we do not understand that horse, but we keeping it, so I guess we also will have problems. And the same when we have relationships with other people. If we do not understand another person, relationships are not good.
Yeah.
and something like problems start happening,
Mm-hmm.
and even aggression between people
Yeah. So
because of misunderstanding each other.
that's it. Yeah. So let's talk about some of these solutions. We're getting right towards the end right now. So one of the things I think a lot of people make an error, in my opinion, is they're always trying to solve the behavior problem that they see when it's happening. And they're
Yeah.
not prioritizing the rest of the time that creates that behavior.
Yes.
So, your dog lunges on the walk, and so many people are trying to fix it while they're out on the walk, not even considering that the activities while they're not on the walk are contributing to that behavior. So that's just one of those things I want people, from my perspective, an early Gary's final thoughts, is to really understand it's not about. Now, do you have to do something in that moment? Absolutely. I get that. But you might have that problem only because we're not willing to look at the rest of the day and say, this is causing that problem. And that's just, that's just my experience. And dogs are physical creatures. And, if you were in the middle of a fight, Artem, you're a big dude. I'm not going to try to stop you while you're in the middle of the fight. Right, I'm going to try to stop you before the fight. Right? Like I'm going to say, "Hey, Artem, this might not be a good idea, but if you're already in the heat of the battle, it's not going to be the time to say, "Hey, Artem, can I talk to you for a moment? Maybe you should get into a disagreement with this individual right now. It's not the time." But
Yeah.
we could talk about it a lot of other things. I tell people it's like reading a self-help book while you're having the problem instead of having the information ahead of time. Like, oh, hold on, I'm feeling insecure, and then you open your book and then you're like trying to read it right now. Like, no, like you read the book ahead of time. So then when you're in that moment, you have a better, the ability to control what's happening.
Yes.
Um, can you share some examples? Like, I thought this was a powerful thing because you and I both are lucky enough. You have Camila, and I have Jake, and we're around a lot of other dogs, but these are dogs that we share a lot of time with and a lot of life with. Can you share some examples of how Camila, through not just that moment, throughout the day, helps other dogs understand how, who
They
she.
should behave around her.
Yeah, exactly. So, so if Camila was out on a walk, she wouldn't have these problems. Is there, what are some things that you see that she does?
I'm trying to think how to say it in English. Uh, she definitely very consistent and univocal and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, by the way, interesting thing about her that she asking a little bit more respect than other dogs towards her personal space, and she's very respectful to other dogs' personal space. She never doing dumb, stupid shit towards
Mm-hmm.
other dogs. Never.
Yeah.
Like for no reason doing something physical towards other dog. Never.
Yeah.
So she also asking that from other dogs too, in a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like somebody, for example, Birma, our second dog, Husky. She coming towards her, trying to make her play. She just brrr at her at Birma, and Husky lying down. It's just happened. It's just in my story
Mm-hmm.
today on Instagram. She that Husky Birma. She just okay, and she gets soft and lie down. But it was not something big happening. It wasn't something big happening. Just simple interaction.
Yeah.
It wasn't something like fight or flight situation. Something simple, and she like what she want, what she don't like, and what kind of expectations she have.
Yeah.
And she also, as I said, respectful to other dogs.
Yeah.
In a simple, small situation, she's showing who she is. I will say it like that.
Hmm. Yeah, like for me, I see a lot of basic things like if when like we were talking about with your other dogs, if one of the dogs is, depending on which dog it is, if they're laying down and he just walks up and starts to smell them, sometimes they'll move for no reason, right? Just because they're just not sure if he wants to lay there or what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
he just does basic things, and his intention is just to me is just to say I can. Um, and they smell him too. It's not that, but there's that difference in what their brain is doing. Like you're saying, there's a change in the way the other dogs feel
Yeah.
when Camila does things. I mean, it happens out on a walk sometimes too. If one of the dogs is smelling something and then Jake decides to walk up and smell the same thing, sometimes they stay there and they smell together. But then other times the other dog will walk away and just be like, oh, well, I'll just go on to the next thing. They don't take it personal, and but it's not when an actual problem is arising. So if somebody barks and then Jake walks up to say, hey, what is it? The other dog will back off and say, oh, he's here. Let me um, somebody that's more capable of handling the problem is here. um, and I see it a lot with like dog bowls too. And again, he's not doing it on purpose. If somebody's drinking from a bowl and he walks up to start drinking too, he doesn't want them to move, but he just doesn't expect that they're not going to move. And they might keep drinking together. He's not looking to claim the water bowl, but sometimes they'll just be like, I'm not thirsty right now. And he'll just keep drinking. He's just like, all right. Just his presence can just makes other dogs very thoughtful. And it's something, like you said, it's that consistency. He doesn't.
And it's, that thing is very powerful that you said, like, in our relationship, or how to say it, what, how to say it, like, about presence.
Hmm.
That's everything, actually. Like your presence, what your presence saying to your dog
Yeah.
automatically. This is very powerful.
Yeah. I have a quote that I created one day when we were at daycare because Teresa,
Mm-hmm.
she walked up to the gate, and as soon as she walked up to the gate, her dog had another thought. And I say, your
Mm-hmm.
presence should change your dog's preferences. So
Yes.
when
Yes.
you're in the middle of what's happening, your dog should be thinking about that and saying
Yes.
like, what is my, like you said, what is my expectation right now? Should I be
Yeah.
moving away? Should I be here? Not just what they want to do. Hi, Teresa.
Yes.
So yeah, it's very
She's
important.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah, of course she's watching.
Hi, Teresa.
She's the best. Um, so again, we wanted to keep it short today. We have I think a great topic for the following week. Do you want to do the muzzle topic? I think are you into that for the next one? Because I think a lot
We
of
can.
people, I think a lot of people, not just why people use them, but I also think as a society, we need to change the way they think about them. So I think there's a
Yeah.
lot that both of us have experience wise because we take dogs out with muzzles and we hear all kinds of crazy shit from
So
people.
then you should create what you said earlier, International Muzzle Day.
I wear exactly right. Let's start the dialogue. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that we'll back to, I guess, not our regularly scheduled topics, but I think today it was just we've been covering a lot of environmental big picture things, and I just want people to, for me personally, I just want people to understand we're not trying to avoid, like the question, like why, like somebody had asked last week, like why does, my dog steals my socks, what do I do? And your answer was great, was, well, why does your dog take something that belongs to you? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I leave stuff around my house all the time.
And this is what describes your quote, like your presence, not because something happening now, but just your presence telling to your dog that she can grab your thing.
Yeah.
So what kind of things you have in daily basis in your relationships. What do you do with your dog?
Yeah.
That dog feeling like that around you, like, oh, I can grab it.
Yeah. All right, it's that time. It's going up. Artem's final thoughts. Anything you want to close with besides go watch the previous episodes?
Stop doing things. Just this is best what to do advice I guess can be.
Yeah.
Like, learn what you need to stop do.
Yeah. That's a good quote. Learn what you need to stop doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
And
nice,
then
Artem.
you will be able to move forward for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I go to shelter, like I've been to a few shelters and rescues, and I'll be in the next 2 weeks, I'll be at more. And that's what I feel a lot of is they just work so hard because they don't realize what they should not be doing. I'm going to totally steal that quote from you. I'll give you credit always, but that's a great quote, man. I mean, because it is. There's a lot of what people are doing that they don't have to and would make their jobs easier. And also when they actually do things correctly, it makes it stick more.
By the way, just
What?
Remember something. We had conversation with Kimberly about that white dog that I mentioned earlier today, and we talked a little bit back and forth about her leash experience. And I said to her that with her doing less gave more results, because right now I know, in general at least, like the main things I know about her.
Yeah.
So right now I'm doing less than, for example, 3 years ago when I met her.
Yeah.
And she definitely have some type of genetic problem.
Yeah.
But with that thing in her, if I know why some things happening with her so severely, like she had panic attacks on walks. So like when I figure out why, after that I started doing less, and I get more results.
Yeah. It's kind of like dating. Like you go out on dates and you figure out like, what's the relationship like? I mean, it's
yes.
So awesome, my friend. I think that's a good little recap of the last 10 episodes. I really I felt good about this. Doing less, which I know sounds odd because people just want to do to solve the problem. But if you have a problem and you continue to do, you don't know if what you're doing is what caused your problem. So there's really nothing to lose. By stopping a few things. I will be traveling the next 2 weeks. I know you already know this, Artem. So I will be traveling the next 2 weeks. So we're going to have to postpone the show 1 week. So we'll say, let me see right now. It's so many text messages in the last 2 minutes. So today is the
19th.
The 19th, yeah. So we will be back in the 19th. I will be in Santa Barbara watching my friend's dogs, so I'm sure I'll have a lot of new stories for that. And awesome, my friend. Well, you have a wonderful evening, and I will.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
And you have.
I'll probably talk to you later today.
Wonderful day. Okay.
See you, bud. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.